Well, hello everyone. Here we are, your last update video. I bet you guys are sad about that. You're not going to see me anymore. Well, unless you have another class down the road with me. But here's our last update video for summer of 23 for our healthcare finance class. So let's get right into it. Kind of our normal pattern to what we do, and hopefully we'll have everything clear that you need to do to wrap up this course and get out of here, because I'm sure you guys want to take a little break before, and I think many of you are, if not all of you, are coming back in the fall. We might have a few graduates in here, I'm not sure. But again, I'm sure you want to be done. So, all right, well, let's talk about kind of what we did last week and this week and wrap everything up. Oh, before I leave this page, I wanted to call your attention that we do have the answers for the learning activities. So check it out. If you want to see the exact numerical answers, you can find it all right there for you. Okay, let's jump into the modules. Last week, sorry guys, I did not have an update video for you, but I'll make up for it this week and make this one twice as long. So, I don't want to cheat you out of these videos. All right, so let's take a look at Module 6. Again, it was pretty, not a lot going on here, midterm and one learning activity. Great job on the papers. Those are looking good. Actually, the papers are some of the best I've ever seen. So if you're using ChatGPT to check your writing, hey, on my end, it looks good, and I did not prohibit the use of ChatGPT to enhance your writing. So again, there were some outstanding papers. Again, we could delve into ChatGPT more. I could just teach it all day, but do be careful going forward in assignments. So if your instructor, in this case, if I didn't prohibit it, I think it's fair game. But in the future, I would always check in with your instructor on whether you can use that or not. I don't know. I think I think the best way to use it, and then I'll shut up about it. Well, there's a gazillion ways to use it that are just incredible. It can do multiple choice tests. It can do reading analysis, statistical analysis. I mean, it is phenomenal. But I think kind of a great way to do it is to write a paper yourself, then have ChatGPT improve the grammar. Sort of use it like the ultimate editor grammar check. So the spirit and most of the words are yours, but it's enhancing that. So, I guess to me, we're all going to figure out what's fair game in the future on what we can do and how much we can use. But if, I'll just toss that out there. It's a wonderful editor and grammar checker. It's the best ever of all time. So there's that. And a great job on these papers, by the way. Some of the best papers that I've ever seen. So maybe you're using it. But again, great form on a lot of the learning activities for that paper. I believe it was on capital structure. I forget, but I think it was that one. Looked really great. We also had the midterm last week. And let me jump back to grading. As of right now, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. I have almost all the grading done except for about 10 people, but I didn't want to sit on this video any longer. I wanted to get this video out. So all the grading will be caught up before I leave here today. So check in there, make sure we've got everything grading wise, caught up. If you have any questions, text me, probably the best way to do it, or email me like, hey, Chris, you missed an assignment. I will say that my phone was kind of blowing up over the past 4 days as you guys are wrapping up the course. A lot of you texted me, which is great. I think I've gotten back to everybody, but I'll double check that. Let me know, especially as we get closer, because the course ends Sunday at midnight. I want to make sure that, we've got everything covered, because I have to get grades turned in by Monday morning. So if it's in the Dropbox, I come in early Monday, I grade, get everything submitted by noon. but I don't have time to hunt you down if something's missing. So get it in there. Late work. If you have late work, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I usually talk about this at the end of the video. But if you have late work, I accept late work. There will be a deduction on points, but it's still going to be worth your while to do it. Remember that about every 100 points that you lose is a letter grade. So, a few of you have some missing assignments out there, and those 1-point grades on a 50-pointer, that's pretty tough. So, feel free to get those in. Again, if it's in there by Monday morning, well, the class closes Sunday at midnight. As long as you get it in there, I'll grade it, and that could preserve a letter grade. Maybe keep that B for you, or keep that A, or get you into A territory. So, all right, late work, get it in. Everything, get it in. Sunday, before the class closes. And if there's anything that I haven't graded, text me, email me, smoke signals, whatever, so I can jump back in there and get that. Again, I think I've gotten all of the late work submitted and graded up for you, because I know, you guys definitely want to see where your points are at, so you know that, if you're in kind of a safe zone or not. All right, enough on that. Okay, so learning activity was great. Midterm. Midterm was a little bit, I guess where I would expect it to be. Let's take a look at the statistics for that. I'm going to remove my picture here. So the quiz, I always like to look at the stats, see where we're at, if there's anything wonky, or, hey, I've made plenty bad, poorly written quiz questions that skew things down. So I just want to make sure we're on the right track. And when I look at average score of 90, I know we're pretty good. And, we had a lot of high scores. We had some hundreds in there. And that looking at that sort of that distribution of grades, the one thing that was that caught me a little bit off guard is, again, most of you were clustered in that area that I like to see, in that kind of that 90 range down here. But we did have some outliers over here, kind of in the, I don't know, well, you'd want some more points area. So, that was a little bit, interesting. Our standard deviation was a little bit wider than I normally see. Now, hey, sometimes you're busy, you got things to do, whatever, and you just get it done. I understand that. But let's say if you were more on the tail end of this distribution, take advantage of that extra credit. There's some not very difficult extra credit. For example, the ChatGPT extra credit literally would maybe take 10 minutes to do. And there's, other ones throughout the course. You don't have to do them all, but you may want to grab a few of those, and that could make up if you had kind of a less than stellar grade on the midterm. Okay, so we've got that. But you definitely want to get the midterm done. I think we have a couple people who have yet to complete it, and that's, a lot of points that you just left on the table there. And before I leave this, average time, you guys are taking just a little over. You can't see the stat on here, but it's 1 hour and 11 minutes. So, there was plenty of time on this, so I wasn't worried about that. If you wanted the extra time, it was there for you. So I think we're pretty much right on target with that. Okay, let's go back to the modules. And that kind of concludes our discussion on last week. This week, had a few of you guys text me, confusion about what is due. So here is, just do what's in the module. There's no secret, like pulling punches. Do what's in the module or on the syllabus are the same things. There are some old assignments that I have that are sort of in the background that you might see on the assignment area if you go into that, if you dig into there, because this course actually had a few more assignments than it does now. I've leaned it down a bit. Don't look at those. And I've tried to, I think I've deleted them already, but some of you were like, hey, do I have to do this? Like, no, of course not. Just do what's in the module. As you flow through the module, there's your overview, your readings and presentations, you got a topic essay, so that's the first deliverable. Then we got another chapter, on ratio analysis and more readings and presentations. And then you got a topic essay, but that's extra credit, so you don't have to do that. And that one's worth 50 points. And that one is on my favorite one that I do in every class. Not too difficult to do, guys, on this one if you need the points. And it's just relating those core values back to the practice of healthcare finance. So not a lot of research, just kind of how would you bring those, how would you manifest those core values? You get to pick. Again, that's not too bad for extra credit. That shouldn't take too long if you need it. And that was a 50-pointer. So there you go. Again, optional though. So we have a case study. I introduced the case study last week, so you guys could start working on it if you wanted to. I put in big bold letters, basically, hey, here's a preview. Work on it if you want. Might be a good idea. And some of you did. I have even a few of you who have completed it early, so great job there. But we do have a case study that's due this week, and listen to my tips on the case study. You're just, in order to do well on the case study, you want to just read the instructions. Answer all 4 questions in 1 or more full paragraphs. That's all. It's a nice, robust paragraph. Maybe 2. And do your best at calculating net present value and internal rate of return. Maybe throw up a little table in there. There's a lot of stuff in this case study. I don't expect you to get it all. I couldn't get it all. I mean, there's all kinds of, which way you would, how would you apply a certain fact in the cases? Don't worry about that. Just if you don't know what it is, move on and grab the things that you do know, that you can recognize in calculating, these various calculations here. So there you go. And, the first 2 are kind of the more interesting ones, the digging deep. And then this is, considering all the points, would you build the ambulatory surgical center? And that's your kind of that one doesn't take any math crunching. You're just kind of based off of, what you've crunched already and other maybe more qualitative factors. Would you go forward or not? So there you go. All right. And then your 3 learning points, and again, make sure you have 3. Pick out the 3 key learning points. If there's 2, you get points off. So there's some work here. Not going to say this one is easy. And hopefully you did start last week a bit, so you're not totally freaked out about this one. But do your best, as you guys have seen. If you do your best and you put in the effort, you show the work, you guys get the points. You're going to get an A in this class. Okay. All right. So there is that. And let's see. I think that covers it for our last module. Double checking here. Yeah. Oh, and the final exam. Sorry. Of course, the final exam. Big one. 150 points. So just like before, make sure you have your calculator at the ready, or you have your web pages already. If you're using Arachnoid and all those other calculators that we've introduced in the class, have those ready. And then the time on this is very generous. So hopefully you have more than enough time to complete that. If you've hung on already, let's do a preview. So like we did before, I think on midterm 1, let's take a preview of some of these questions. They may look familiar. Hint, hint. So do take a look at your old midterms. Again, we'll just scroll through here. Feel free to screenshots, however you want to do it, because these will show up on the final. So there you go. All right, so let's take a look at a few of them. Let's do 10. So we got that present value lump sum question. Again, these should look very, very familiar. Future value question. There you go. We've got to set our perpetuity question. Question number 4, 5. Again, screenshot these, solve them if you want, and then you can go right into this thing and have 10 of these things already done. Very interesting. Okay, 6. 7. I know, you probably spare me the countdown. A little bit more detailed one here with the beta coefficient. You guys did really good on that one, though. I was really impressed. And we did that the beta coefficient for the portfolio. That was you guys nailed that one. Question 9 and question 10. Okay, very cool. All right, so there's your free preview that you got, and let's go back in, double check myself. I think we're good. All right, I think we've got everything that we've talked about for this week, or everything I need to talk about for that. I've talked about grading and late work and all of that. Remember that the course ends Sunday at midnight, really like 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Get everything in by then, okay? Now, let's say you're working to 2 o'clock in the morning, finishing up that case study, and the course is already closed. Send it to me as an email attachment. I'm not going to get in here until Monday around 8 o'clock. So just have it there, so when I can start grading, I can go, oh, it's not there. I'll check all my emails and see if you got it in there. And then, all right. When you do that, I always reply back, got it. So you're not freaking out about it if it's not there. Also, there was in the course, there was a couple instances where I did extra credit, kind of Easter egg style, and I had in the video I had students email me. So and that doesn't show up on the grade book. I have a file for that on my in my Outlook calendar for all of you that did those kind of email responses. If I'm going in there and I'm grading you, if I'm grading a student and it's like they don't have an A, then I'm going to look for that extra credit. If you got the A, I'm not going to go back to the email file and see if it's there. It doesn't do any difference. But if you are marginal, anything other than an A, I go back and see if your name was one of those folks that submitted extra credit through the email. So know that that's not lost. And then of course, we did some extra credit, which actually shows up on the grade book. That's when I got smarter about this and started to just put it right on the grade book. Also remember, as you're kind of calculating and trying to figure out where everything is point-wise, this course is based off of 1,000 points. So you really want to make sure that you're right around, 900 and 900 or 920 points is kind of where you'd want to be for that safe A zone, right around 920 points. All right, so that pretty much concludes our normal update video. So what I'm going to do, I know we've talked a little bit about ChatGPT in the course, and I want to I do think this is going to change education immediately and going forward, but I also want you guys to be aware of the technology, and truly this is something you can't ignore. You have to learn how to use it in order, I think, to remain competitive in the workplace. So it like anything new. So let's, for example, Microsoft Word, or Pages, any of these Word, these applications, they weren't available when I started high school. They started rolling out by the time I graduated. Yes, there were word processors that you could use, but it's like not learning how to do that and just sticking to a typewriter is just like not going to work. So you would have to learn that technology. So please try to keep abreast of those changes. Keep abreast of what's going on within the learning environment and how we're allowing the use or not allowing the use, or in the workplace for your own jobs. Again, I read a story about a guy who just nailed the job, got the job offer because he used ChatGPT heavily throughout the process for resume optimization. It's not about lying and making stuff up, but to optimize his resume, to optimize his cover letter to match the qualifications, to make sure that he could pull that out and tease that out. Then he used it to train himself to practice to interview. And you can have ChatGPT act like an interviewer and ask questions. You just got to be able to prompt it correctly to ask you those questions. Act like an interviewer for a healthcare administration job in finance doing blah, 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 blah. It can do that. And he was able to coach himself. And all the slick people, they get coached. Back in the day, you'd actually hire coaches. Very expensive to practice interview questions. Or you'd buy a book and you kind of look at standard canned interview questions. But now you can use ChatGPT to simulate questions that may occur in a very specific job role. So anyway, he was using it for that. So yes, do continue to use that. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to shoot a little brief thing, one more little thing you might be able to do with ChatGPT, and you can just take it for what it's worth. So hang on, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. I didn't want to fumble around on camera as I got things set up because I just kind of made this up as I was talking. But I'm going to show you one possible tool that is pretty interesting. So let me. Here is our final. Okay. And let's go to, I don't know, let's do this one. Let's do this lump sum question. I'm just going to copy it like this. I'm going to bring over my good old buddy here, my new best friend, ChatGPT. Okay. Now, a couple of things, and I know some of you may not, the techie aspect of stuff may drive you crazy, but I would say this is relatively low technical skill and to do this. So again, it wasn't that hard. I watched one YouTube video and learned more about this, but as you remember, there's two different versions of ChatGPT. The ChatGPT 4, which is the premium $20 a month, best $20 I've ever spent in my life, version, now has something. This is how fast this is going. They've added plugins. So, and these plugins are like little mini applications that GPT can use to enhance itself or to do all kinds of cool and crazy stuff. I mean, it's just, the pace is going quite quick on how this thing is changing. But one of them was the Wolfram Alpha plugin. So that, and these are my various plugins that I have. This one is the, and this has been around for a few years, but now they have a plugin to ChatGPT. So remember what the weakness was? It was math. That's no longer a weakness anymore, as far as I can tell. With the Wolfram plugin, it's pretty amazing. So, for example, we have that question. I've got you're only allowed to run 3 plugins at a time, but I've got my 3 plugins. They got a plugin store, so you can look at all the different little apps that you can use with your ChatGPT. This is only available for GPT-4, so again, just take that for what it's worth. You know, I think it's about, I would spend $20 a month and no question for this application. But let's go ahead and plug this in here. And I already know I got that plugin activated, so it will use it if it needs it, which I'm sure it will need it. Oh, look at that. Oh, and here we go, plugging in the values. Ah, yes, there it goes. It's using Wolfram. And that would be the correct answer. Yeah. So you're now looking at potentially like one of the best calculators of all time. You know, for complex, what I would consider, and even, I mean, that's marginally complex, but even having textual elements and numbers, and it's able to just do that immediately. So so there you go. It can do just raw questions like that, especially with plugins and the math and using GPT-4. So there you go, guys. There's my last little GPT nugget. The plugins were very exciting. I'm just starting to delve into that as well. So there you go. All right. Hey, if you want to use it on the final, I'm not prohibiting it now. So if you want to use it on the final, feel free to use it on the final. I would encourage it, you know, if you want to do that. In the future, things will be changing pretty quick about how we're going to do assessments, where if it's something that is necessary for the learning experience and the objectives of the course, that you cannot use GPT, then, you know, then it will be prohibited, and we'll have ways to do that. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, again, thank you for being a wonderful summer class. I know that sometimes it's hard to take a class in the summer, but you guys were fantastic. Great job, great work. Everybody have a great, you know, rest of the summer. You have a little bit of time off. Classes start on August 28th. So we'll see you back then. Again, if anything else does come up, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, everybody.